Welcome to Girls Gotta Glide, episode 5. Today I'm going to cook a vegan meal for you in RV. I'm making a stir fry. Stir fry is my all-time favorite meal. It's my go-to comfort food and I love it so very much. It tastes ridiculous and I always feel really good and strong and nourished after I eat it. Also, it's so close to my heart because it's my favorite food, so I wanted to share it with you. And I'm excited to. So the foundation to my stir fry is toasted sesame oil. In RV, you have to light your stove. So I'm gonna go ahead and light the stove. I brought my favorite silverware, my favorite pans and pots and things. So I'm going to use my All-Clad whatever style 10-inch pan. Foundation is about a tablespoon. I just wing it. I'll show you. Picky about my cutting boards and haven't found a cutting board. So I bought this plastic plate and I use this as my cutting board and it's pretty. This is my knife. It's a Wusthof something or other and I've been using it for years. It's my favorite and I don't sharpen it enough. Mwah. I should give it more love. Flip behind here and get my favorite wooden spoon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cook the garlic first and I'm just going to kind of, I'll call it simmer it. Really, the heat is a little high. I'll probably lower the heat a little. RV stoves are challenging to keep on a low heat, so you know, okay? Now, this is the rice. So can you see? So I go like that. I'm gonna put just a drop more. And I have to say, this kind of cooks it better than the rice cooker. So I'm really thrilled. The jalapeno comes next, and what I do is I cut the jalapeno around the outside, which some people are like, oh my god, I never thought of that. And I'll tell you, I learned to do this on my own because I was tired of burning fingers from the seeds. So I, see all the seeds? There's just a couple on my knife, and I'll use this to wipe it off my knife. And then you just have this. Look at that. So I will slice those puppies up and throw them in the pan with the garlic. I like the garlic. It's like a caramel, little bit of color, a little shiny and the oil sizzling it, but it's not overcooking and it's certainly not cooked yet. When I put the jalapenos in, they cool the garlic down and slow down the cooking process. And I like that because there's kind of an infusion that happens. See? So now everybody's cooking happily. The next thing I put in my stir fry is usually the onion. So I'm going to take the onion and I'm going to slice it. And I have found over many, I can't even tell you. I wonder how many stir fries I've made. I wonder if that's something you can ask when you die and cross over. So how many stir fries in my life have I made? And the person on the other side is going to be like, well, you actually made 40,552 stir fries. And how many of those stir fries did I eat way too much of? 40,542 because they taste so good. So my new way of cutting an onion, I found tastes the best. Like when you get Chinese food and the onions taste so good, so it's like an orange. And I find that the onion tastes so much better that way than when you slice it any other way. And I've tried every way. So I'll slice them and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. You see? It's like an orange. And so I'm going to just put that right in the dish. I am going to go ahead and peel and cut another carrot because I just don't think that's enough. And the reason why I put the carrots in now is I give them time to cook because they take a little time to cook. They actually take a lot less time to cook than you would think. being that they're carrots. But they do need a little longer, so I always put them in before the other parts of the stir fry. I don't always peel my carrots. The outer skin on the carrot obviously has a lot of vitamins and nutrients. It's said that when you peel a carrot, you don't actually peel away the whole peel. You just peel the very top layer. So you're still getting the vitamins and nutrients that are in the peel. It does taste a little bit different when you don't peel a carrot, just a little bit. I choose to peel a carrot in certain places, spaces, and moods. And I'm in a strange place. I'm in a, location. I'm in a strange place. The grocery stores and whatever, they're like, I don't know them that well. So I tend to do things a little more cautiously when I am getting to know my food, my sources. This is life. This feeds this body, this organism that gives me the power to do all of these amazing things. I'm thinking in a much more expanded way than just I'm making dinner, or when I shop for my food, I'm thinking in a much more quantum way. I'm very quantum. As you get to know me, you'll get to know, and you'll hear the word quantum a lot. I live in a quantum way. I think in a quantum way. My being is upgrading into a quantum and has been for a long time. And so my nourishment is the way I view it and the way I create it, the way I experience it is very quantum. So, do you see my face when I go to light a match? It's so crazy, right? Like, the spark of fire always gets me. So I'm going to light the back burner for the rice. Now, with the rice, you want to bring it to a boil. And then if you're on a normal stove, you want to bring the water to a boil. Bring it up to a slow boil and then bring it down to a simmer and put it on its lowest heat and put the lid on it. This is one of my favorite little pots ever created. It's just a Calphalon stainless steel pot. I love it, and I love to be able to see my food. So I'm gonna do that and let the rice. In RV, the issue again is that the heat is too high, so I only half put the lid on, and then the rice does an amazing job. It's really good. This is the heat. I'm gonna turn the heat up. Now I'm going to do my mushrooms, and I'm gonna do them really fast because I want to get the zucchini in. And you just wipe the dirt off the mushrooms. And if there's a little dirt on your mushrooms, dirt is really good for you. Dirt has a lot of nutrients in it. It's really good for your biochemistry, so your gut. So wipe it off. You don't have to be obsessive. You shouldn't wet the mushroom because then the mushroom, it already releases a lot of moisture, so you don't want it releasing even more moisture. You decide what moisture you're putting in. When I had plants in the kitchen, I would wipe the dirt off and then add it to my plants because I loved the idea of taking the soil from where my food grew and adding it to the soil of my plants in my house. So that's just a little idea if you wanted to try it. You know, there's only 2 left, so look at this mushroom's beautiful. It's almost as big as my face. I'm gonna put it in. I love it. Mushrooms in a stir fry are like, I don't have words. Mushrooms in anything, I don't have words. And I've read articles that say actually the white mushrooms are the most nutritious mushrooms, are the most nutritious, and they're my favorite. So that's very exciting to know. Let me show you. It's so pretty, isn't that beautiful? So I'm just going to slice up these beautiful yellow squash. In the summertime, nothing better. I always cut them in half. You see how I cut that in half? I lost a couple here and there. So you just pick them up when you lose a couple. I always have a pair of chopsticks handy just in case I lose something in a location I can't get to. And every time you add something to your stir fry, maybe give it a little stir because you want to get the stuff that's sitting at the bottom of the pan up to the top and the stuff that's sitting at the top of the pan down to the bottom. And for those people that are really good at cooking, this may seem obvious, but for those people that are learning how to cook, you know, nothing is obvious and there is no wrong. So, you know, however you're doing it, as long as you're trying, that's the best because you're cooking food for your vehicle that you get to walk around this planet in, and your vehicle will be so happy. Okay, let me show you my rice. You see that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and lower it as much as I can. And I'm going to put my lid on like that. So if you have a really powerful stove, put it on the lowest and leave some air. So this way your rice can simmer at as low a speed as possible. This is my zucchini. You're gonna slice them up. I fashioned a light with a makeup mirror and I think it's doing a really good job. I'm like a professional videoer, so this is all really new to me. Just like maybe cooking is new for you. So I'm just doing whatever comes to me in terms of like, oh, maybe I'll just like have this makeup mirror because RV is quite dark, especially in the rain. My secret, look at that. You want me to show you again? I'm gonna do one more. Okay, see that? I use 2 fingers and I squeeze the stem. This is the stem. The stem runs all the way up. So if you get it to about there, it's great because otherwise the stem doesn't cook very well unless you cook it for a long, long time. So there you go. See? Here's a little secret I learned. I picked up along the way. Smush it up into like something. Watch your fingers. Make sure your fingers are like folded in. And then, okay, like this, and you see my fingers are like this, and like this. Put everybody back on the plate or the cutting board or your table or wherever you are doing this, and then turn the plate and then just give a little, make sure your fingers are not in the way, okay? Beautiful, right? So now I want the zucchinis and the squashes to be more done before I put the kale in, because the kale doesn't take very long. So I'm going to make sure that the zucchinis that aren't that done yet are at the bottom of the pan. We want them to get some heat. And I know the zucchinis are at the bottom and the squashes that I want done. Now I'm going to take the kale and I'm going to lay it over the top. And this is going to act like a steamer. The steam's not going to be able to release, so there'll be more heat and it'll be easier to cook. So my rice is getting there. Look, is that crazy, right? But it's right now cooking the water that we can't see. So when I know that it's on this part, I really keep my eye on it. The minute it starts sticking to the bottom of the pan, your rice is done. Now, I'm going to get my sausage ready. When I tell you, I always stayed away from these. I love field roast sausage so much, but I've been obsessed with the apple. I could not get enough of it. And when I got here, the grocery store didn't have it, so I just settled for Mexican Chipotle. And when I tell you I'm completely and totally obsessed with it, it's the best thing in the stir fry ever created. So that's a really valuable lesson for me, to be open to the possibilities, right? Like, oh, I hate that sauce. If I didn't buy it and try it, I would never have my new favorite thing that I love more than the other thing that was my favorite thing. So that was like a life lesson in the grocery store with vegan sausage. It's got this plastic thing on. What I like to do is I like to cut my sausage into tiny little thin pieces because I love it so much. I want to have as much as possible. I only allow myself to have one, and so one it is, and I make this one last and last and last as much as I possibly can because it's so delicious. Okay, the rice is perfect. Here is my, do you see how I cut them very thinly? Now, stir fry is about ready for its next iteration. So especially when I use these sausages, I like my stir fry like a saucy. Yeah, some people might not like that, and that's okay. You don't have to do that. This is my preference. This is how I like it in my universe. So you can try it both ways and see what works for you. Before I do that though, I always add garlic powder because I love garlic and it gives it a lot of flavor. And then I always put in onion powder. So I put about, I would say, half a tablespoon of each. And you know, it's really a personal preference. For me, I just throw it in. I'm not even thinking about how much. I like go with what my body says. I put in enough until my body says, that's perfect. And I really tune in to what my body is saying. Okay, I'm gonna add water. That's what I say when I want it saucy. So I add water till it stops sizzling. Let me show you. And then I simmer it down a little bit. Okay, can you see that? And you can see there, people, but when I put the sausage in, the oil and the flavors from the sausage get into this along with the flavors from the stir fry, and it makes it like a completely amazing experience in your mouth. Just beautiful. Okay, so you hear it simmering? I'm going to add my sausages. And that's it for my cutting board. Thank you, cutting board. I think this was like $1. And I have to tell you, it's just been wonderful. And I'm not going to buy a cutting board because from here, my next glide, which I will be announcing in 2 weeks, my next glide will not require a cutting board. So I'm not going to get a cutting board. Okay, so what I do is it's simmering, and as I said, some of the water will simmer on. Okay. Is that pretty, right? So pretty. You can put anything in your stir fry. I am really obsessed with this mixture, but if you have an obsession, go with what your heart wants. Go with what your body is craving. Really listen. If your body's like, I want this, then give it to it. Oh my God, so good. I'm going to set my table and I'll see you when I serve, okay? Hi, I'm back and I have dinner here on the table. We have stir fry and the rice, right? Okay, so I love to eat out of the pan. This is my fleur de sel that I'll be using, and in here is Frontier nutritional yeast, which I'll be using. And what I do is I take the rice and I put it at the bottom. I always make a cup of rice, and whatever I don't eat, I don't eat. Whatever I eat. So what I do is I set up my rice I put some salt in it, and I'm going to put the nutritional yeast on. Nutritional yeast, it has a cheesy flavor, and it's filled with B vitamins. I like either use my spoon or I use my chopsticks, and I grab a couple of things, and I grab a little bit of rice. I make a mouthful, right? And I'll eventually turn to the spoon because I'll want to have some of the juice in the sauce, which I love so much. So this is a big bite, and I'm going to do it because I have no shame. The reason the bite will get big is because I want to have everybody in the bite. The zucchini, the onion, the mushroom, the squash, the kale, the carrot, the sausage. It happens. That's why a bite will get too big. Today it's very spicy, which I'm surprised. It's not normally very spicy. I personally like spicy, so if you don't like spicy, then I would leave out the jalapeno. You could always just use a regular pepper or no pepper at all. And I wouldn't get a spicy chipotle sausage. I would get their apple. You are happy and love eating meat. You know, that's your journey. And if you're happy, I'm happy. And if I'm happy and love eating vegan, that's my journey. We're not here to judge each other. Like I said, you're on your journey. I'm on my journey. There's vegans out there that are really, strong and beautiful and passionate, and I love them. God bless them. And you can feel that way and be that way, and that's your prerogative. But I don't believe in judging people for what they eat or what they do or what they're educated in, or it's just, no, we have to love each other. We're family. We're family. Like your uncle Mark smokes a pack of cigarettes a day and drinks too much, but he's the life of the party. You're not, you're not hating him. You're loving him where he's at. Wherever you are, that's where you're supposed to be. And so, if there's anything that I would hope that you could get from this video is to know that the more love you put around the food you're eating, the more love you're eating. And just like if I were going to make you a meal, which I just did, I always say when I cook for guests, I'm feeding them my love. And there's no better way for me to give them my love or show them how much I love them. So I'm nourishing them from the inside out. Not when they sit down to dinner, but with the idea. So from the moment that I decided to create this video, I've been nourishing you with my love. And so even though you're not physically eating this food, it's in you. My love, my heart, and my soul. So until next time, I'll see you soon. I love you. I love you so much. Mwah! Me.